Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Doctor Who review, episode number 84, I believe so. Yeah, 84. Excuse me. With this reviewing, basically, the opening story for season 23 of the series. And from what I've heard, this was not the original plan. Nope. Yeah, the original plan had different stories in mind, but because the stories were canceled, and because the show was going through low ratings, we need to save the show, so we need to put the show on trial with the Trial of the Time Lord. We're discussing the Mysterious Planet. Yes, the Mysterious Planet. Yes, and it's the 144th episode of the series. Story of the series, excuse me. And it's like I mentioned, it's the first story of season 23. Version 4 aired from December 6th to the 27th of 1986. Yes, roughly about 2 months before my parents got married. Yep. Now, this story here is famous for two reasons. Number one, it is, not only the opening story for this particular story, that's obvious. But the big thing with this one is that we get the series resumes to a 25-minute format, and it will remain that way for the rest of the series. Yep. The series, this is the debut of a recurring character, Solomon Glitz, who, by the way, is the same actor in the following two stories. He returns to the finale of this story, and he appears in one story in the following season, and that's the last we see of him. And it's strange that this character has ever come back to this series. I mean, some of you might be asking, okay, so is the actor still alive? Nope, he passed away a couple years ago, so it is strange, though. Now, the Doctor and Perry, first, this starts off with this. We had this shot of a space station, which, by the way, here's a fun fact. You know, after the story wrapped up, that this story is never seen again. Yeah. It is, so Doctor is brought to this trial room. He's like, what's going on here? You being put on trial for crimes against the Time Lords. It's a farce. He's like, I can't be tried because I'm the president. I'm the high president. And the Doctor's form, you were deposed. Really? Because you lived in office vacant for too long. Yeah. So, we're also introduced to a character who only appears in the season. Though he also appears in audio stories, mostly. But on screen, the only time we see this guy. Who is he? The Valeyard. And oh boy, this guy. Very much annoyance. Yeah, there's a secret about him I'm not going to reveal right now because that's not revealed into the finale of the story arc. Yep, so of course, Doctor's accused of there's some stuff that was cut here, mostly from the later portion of episode 4. Why was it cut? Time! It overran. So, we had the basic, watch the viewing screen, basically, for this one. Well, Doctor and Perry on planet Erbalox, which they revealed at the end of the story, it's definitely Earth. Which they don't really explain various things in this one. Of course, apparently it's 2 light years where we're supposed to be. The fact it's a different galaxy. Like, there's a lot of questions involving this version of Earth that it's never explained in the story. And also, there was this great fire apparently decimated the planet. Allegedly, was a fire going on, and we go outside like, no, fire's perfectly fine. There's no fire. Yeah, there's a lot of question marks related to the story. So Dr. Perry just walk around. Of course, Perry assumes this is Earth because of a tunnel she sees from London, which she recognized, like, oh yeah, I've been here before, even though she's from the U.S. Did the writer forget the fact she's supposed to be American? Yes. Oh, you might be asking, does anybody know how pretty Perry is? Yep. They do. It's a common gag. Yep. And yeah, this has happened in pretty much in every single story that she has appeared in. I'm not kidding about that. She literally gets people say this in every story. Though this story is, for some reason, it's called the 144th story. It is classified as as story 143 for some reason. 143A. It's just kind of weird with this one. Okay, let me fix me here because I got that one up. So there we go. That's better. Yep. So they look around the place, and the Doctor and the Perry get separated. This is before they get to this little underground place. This is when we're introduced to Solomon Glitz and his partner, who only appears in this very story. You're thinking, really? Yeah. His partner, Dibber, as far as I can tell, on screen, the guy never appears ever again. Well, he appears in these prose stories. Appeared in a couple of them. One was basically Mission Impractical. Which was a novel. And the other one, here's like three of them. One was basically like, yeah, I think all just novels. Mm-hmm. Yep. So they try to shoot them. Of course, they're looking for something, but they know exactly what they're looking for, which they find in their story. And then we're introduced to the a guy who this people in the underground refer to as the Immortal. Which, when you look at this thing, it's literally a robot. Which, the back of this DVD does not show it off here. It's just basically just underground. This robot is later revealed from the Andromeda Galaxy. This, like, some stuff is like, it's like we have basic conversations that should be continued that were basically halted for no reason. I could advance the story, but time. So then Glitz goes to this village of primitives. He's like, oh, I can make an old lady heart melt. And he tries to, and it doesn't work. He gets in prison for it. Yeah, it's all about basically this light converter, which later gets destroyed off screen mostly. And by the way, this device that there's a totem pole, they got the message from the gods. Oh boy, this thing generates dark light matter. Yes. And I do enjoy the Sixth Doctor basically just watching his own stuff. He points like, why did this involve him? Like, I thought the Matrix records my memories. It's everything around it too. He's like, okay, yeah, he didn't know that. That part of it, that of course they all about the whole thing in the Matrix. I thought there was Time Lord knowledge. It was like all knowledge. Okay. And of course, the shot plug holes in that particular thing about the Matrix. And of course, he just rationalizes. Of course, he does bring up valid points that even the Inquisitor herself basically is like, what is the point of this? Yes. And at one point, it's like, yeah, a couple times in the story, and this is hinted at that's later explored throughout this whole thing. We have it where like certain stuff is deleted from the footage. Now, was that the fault of the production? No, that was done in story. The production had nothing to do with it. Or the fact that also certain dialogue was was removed when later on in the story. Yeah, where like you have Glitz say something about basically dark light matter, and the thing is removed, and the Doc and Quiz are like, why was that removed? Apparently, that was under the order of the High Council Time Lords, and the Inquisitor's like, they were appointed by the Time Lords as a head of investigation. Why are they interfering? Yeah, they're basically a minor antagonist in the story. Yes, the High Council Time Lords are a minor antagonist in the story. Yes, and this will all be revealed when we get to the final story here, which is like 2 episodes. So there's not much comedy in this one. It's very serious. The only bit of comedy we get here is when Glitz basically bankers with his employee here. By the end of the story, the robot is destroyed via basically this dark light generator, and there's a lot of stuff here. It's like basically not a lot of substance to this story. It felt as though watching this, I kind of felt as though stuff was missing. Now, they could have expanded upon this stuff in story, but nope, they did not. It's like conversations are started here, and they're like, oh, they're finished. Like, okay. Yeah, and Glitz, well, they say he's chubby, and I'm like, he's a bit chunky, but not that chunky. I've seen people chunkier than that. So, it's a bit of a strange story. Is it terrible? No, not necessarily. Also, that you know that some time has passed between the previous season and this one. Also, Perry's changed her hair. And also this story, and I gotta point this out though, she's not wearing risque clothing in the story. And you're thinking, really? Yes, because that's what she was notoriously known for wearing from basically Twin Dilemma up into Revelation Dialects, where they kept wearing very risque clothing. Here, it's like normal clothes. And I'm like you can still the fact she's pretty without wearing the risque clothing or the skimpy outfit she's put in. I'm sure she was relieved, but here's something quite strange though. Mel wore the same type of outfits when she comes on board as the Doctor's companion, which, by the way, she makes a debut in the third story of in the third segment of the story. Well, she debuts in Terror of the Vavilons, and it's all about the whole thing with this one, and I think in the next one too, where the Doctor can't present his case yet because the Vavilon present his case, and there's also been jokes in here about calling the Val Yard, Junkyard, Nipper Yard. And Flybread Comic was not a fan of those jokes at all. He absolutely hated it. Also, he was not a fan of the script for this one. Not really, no. It felt as though we did have a story here, but it could have used more fine-tuning, and of course, the director apparently couldn't come for free. He had to come for basically, like, he was expensive. Like, was basically the season done like a very like no budget? Yeah. Who knows? But I love the way this looks here. It looks awesome. Probably by far the best thing about the story is Sixth Doctor. Yeah, I think he's the best thing about the story because a lot of the other stuff, Perry surprisingly doesn't get much to do. Yeah, the subject she's featured a lot in the story. It just seems though for this one she's given like virtually nothing to do. Well, the exception of the last bit in the final part of the story, which she has to shut down a dark light generator. Aside from that, she does nothing. And I do mean nothing. And she's the companion. This is basically not when Peter Davison was there. We had like 2 or 3 companions. We only have one. Give her something to do during the story. A lot of the time, she just stands around, says some dialogue. She has virtually nothing in the story. It's a bit of a weak opening to the story, but I see the courtroom scenes quite interesting. And here's something I found interesting about the courtroom scenes. Apparently, when they went to go shoot the court scenes, they assembled a set in the wrong studio. Yes, I'm like, really? Yeah, they assembled it in the wrong studio, So they had to disassemble there and reassemble it. Like it was like near. They basically did it like with no time. They did it with like they're basically like they were rushing to it. But I'm like the person who assembled like, did you not read basically what memo was supposed to get? Like, hey, assemble in this studio, not this one. Yeah. But not much to say about the story. I'm gonna give this one here, the Mysterious Planet. I'm gonna give that I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. It feels like it was a step down from the last one that I watched. Yeah, like Two Doctors. I love that one. That was amazing. Then this comes like right after Evolution. Like, of course, this also came out a year and a half after the previous story did. Yeah, that was because the series went hiatus for 18 months. For reasons. Because shows ratings were slipping. Now, here's the thing. The next story is Mind Warp, obviously. But I'm not going to discuss that first. Because that features a character from a previous story that I want to discuss first. A story that I think is one of the most boringest Doctor stories I've ever watched. But he kept saying, oh, this story is so good. This was like when I first watched it. I was so freaking bored watching it. I watched the whole thing. So, next story will be The Vengeance of Orlash. Yep, but that's pretty much it for Took of You. Except it's My Hero Academia and a Comic Corner. It's on to One Piece. Okay, next view. Bye.